welcome to Scrollin', episode 95. I'm Ket. Joining me as always, Davey, Starjumper. How's it going, man?
It's going good.
Is love in the air at the Starjumper household? Valentine's Day?
You know, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Davius, are you in the doghouse, dude?
No. I'm in, I'll go ahead and say it now. I was going to save it towards the end, but special shout out today. Special shout out to my wife. Me and you like to call her the law dog.
Does she listen to the show?
No, but still special shout out because she's, Valentine's Day, she's let me in here record a podcast. So
hey, the goons appreciate it.
There we go.
Well, you know what I love? PTS patch notes. That's what I love.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to talk about weeks 2 and 3 of the public test server for the Scribes of Fate DLC coming up. We have some PvP adventures to talk about. We have some pretty exciting build stuff to discuss and some other things as well. So we're going to get into all that. But first, I want to touch back on this bloodthirsty change. First, actually, I just need to issue a correction. Shout out to Uncle Sam for setting me straight on this. On the last episode, I said that the bloodthirsty trait scales with like weapon and spell damage percentage amplifiers, like medium armor traits or medium armor passives and major brutality and that sort of thing. That is not true. Bloodthirsty does not scale with weapon and spell damage amplifiers at all. So thanks, Uncle Sam, for that correction. Also, basically another correction, we misinterpreted the patch notes about what is changing with the bloodthirsty trait.
I feel like we got to go out there. We're not the only ones. A lot of people, a lot of misinterpretation on that.
In our defense.
But the rumor has it we pronunciated everything correctly. So
pronunciated, exactly. That's for sure a word. Well, yeah, I mean, but yeah, the notes were super unclear. We were definitely not the only ones to get duped by that. I mean, you could see YouTube videos and guild chats and lots of people were talking about, oh my gosh, this new bloodthirsty trait's just going to be nuts. But actually, it's not really changing all that much. If you're using a gold piece of bloodthirsty jewelry, it's not changing at all. It's exactly the same, no difference whatsoever. But anything that is a lower quality than a gold piece is getting slightly buffed, and then like the lower quality it is, the more it's getting buffed. So just as a quick example, a purple piece of bloodthirsty jewelry right now, when your target reaches 90% health, that gives you 28 weapon and spell damage, and then that ramps up to a maximum of 280 at 0% health. That's moving, instead of 28 to 280, that's going to be 31.5 to 315. I mean, that's a lot of numbers, I know, but just slightly buffed. It means like that threshold, like where bloodthirsty outperforms infused, it's normally like around 60% health or so, depending on your build. Could be a little more, could be a little less. That threshold is probably going to be more like mid 60s now, maybe like 64 or so percent health, where bloodthirsty starts to outperform the infused trait in terms of damage. So makes it a little bit more attractive, especially if you're using purple jewelry, and especially if you're using blue or green jewelry. I think green jewelry, it's like around 75% health, something like that.
This is great for us poor players out there. It's
yeah.
The gold jewelry is such that's just so far ahead of time. We're not going to get there. So this is a nice change, makes
all you green jewelry users out there, this is great news.
Great news right here.
I don't know if anyone's using bloodthirsty on a green piece of jewelry, but maybe.
The only time I'm ever lucky enough to have gold is if the gold vendor just happens to be selling the exact items on a build, then I will go and grab it. Yeah,
that's pretty much the case for me. But if it's a build that I'm like committed to, and I've decided like, yes, this is the build, I have decided I'm sticking with this build, then I cannot abide anything lower than purple quality. Absolutely not. It's just, we'll do what we got to do. We'll sell what we got to sell. We'll get those mats. We'll get it to purple. Mother Dragon says, wait, so gold jewelry doesn't change. Yeah, the bloodthirsty trait for gold jewelry is staying exactly the same as always, not changing at all. Everything lower than that is getting buffed, and the lower the quality, the bigger the buff.
Basically, what Mother's getting at is this entire change doesn't affect her at all. No change.
It's not going to affect your sales, Mother.
Yeah, or all her golded out gear.
Oh, that's right. Your gear. That's right. Right. Yeah, that's right. See, that's what you get for only using gold. See, you could be getting buffed right now. But all right. So the corrections have officially been issued. Let's get on to this public test server stuff. So this is public test server version 8.3.1 and 8.3.2 for the Scribes of Fate dungeon DLC coming up in mid-March sometime here in maybe like a month or so. So yeah, this is weeks 2 and 3. I've just combined this list into one list, so we're not going to do like, here's one set of notes, here's the next set of notes. It's just going to be one set of notes. And of course, as always, we're just kind of cherry picking the good stuff. We're not going to read all the tedious nonsense. So I've combed through everything. I've picked out all the stuff that's interesting, and we're just going to talk about those things. It's actually a pretty mild week 3 for a PTS. Really, we'll get through these pretty quick, I think, which I think is a pretty good sign. I think that means that, at least in their eyes, things are going how they want them to, and we're on course for a good, smooth launch, hopefully.
Yeah, seems like they kind of have they've got things where they want them to be, and they're just kind of tinkering. Always got to tinker.
I like some of the things that they've done here. So for one thing, they've turned target markers back on for PvP. They've tweaked them a little bit, so now going into stealth will remove the target marker, and once you come out of stealth, the person will have to put it back on you if they want it to be on you. Also, if you die, that removes the target marker. You can turn target markers off in settings if you just don't want to see them. And you can also adjust the size of the target markers in the settings as well. So just kind of refined that system a little bit. I think some of those things needed to happen before they could put them back into PvP. So that's going to be cool. I think like the fact that stealth and dying and stuff removes them, I think that's gonna go a long way to prevent like griefing, really going after the same player over and over again all the time and stuff like that.
So this is they're gonna work in BGs now? Is this what we're getting at here?
I've been fooled before.
If I had $1 every time.
But I would assume so. Yeah, they say PvP. They don't specify except not BGs. They don't say
all right, we shall see. I don't even want them for, and the interesting part is, I don't even really want them for enemies. I don't know if you could put them on an enemy, but I just want them for teammates. Like I think it'd be helpful to put them on teammates.
Be helpful to put it on a certain teammate that's kind of the group leader, and you're trying to stick with them. I think I absolutely will use it for enemies. Definitely. Like if we're trying to focus a healer down or something like that, or just a certain problem player that's like, we're really trying to take care of them because they keep killing us or whatever. I could definitely see it being used in that way.
Yeah. It's going to add it's kind of add a layer of strategy.
Yeah. I've been wanting to use it this whole time. I know I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. I'm looking forward to it. As far as combat and ability changes, they made a correction about the Necromancer Grave Robber synergy. It's actually only nerfed by 34%, not 47%. That was a misprint. So just a 34% nerf. Of course, the Harmony trait is being deleted from that build that typically uses that ability. So it's really more like a 60% nerf. Once you consider that, it's still totally dead.
Yeah, still too large of a nerf for the Necro Bomber to still exist.
Yeah. For Dragon Knights, the Major Berserking Chains, aka Chains of Devastation, the Major Berserk now only lasts 4 seconds instead of 10 seconds. I don't know, seems reasonable. Davis, what do you think? Is that going on your bar or not, or what do you think?
It probably won't go on my DK's bar, but I do think this is a really good change. It instead of every DK having this ability on their bars, now it's almost like you're going to have to work this into your combo or something. You're going to have to work it into your rotation if you're going to want to utilize this buff, which is cool. Like I think it makes it more unique and more kind of niche. I don't think I'll use it just because it's like we just said, it's going to be kind of difficult to keep that up, but.
Yeah, that's a very narrow window, and especially like you have a Oaken Soul build, right? So you're trying to maximize those bar slots. That is going to be tough to justify that. It's kind of weird now because Major Berserk is super powerful, but I don't know if it's like so powerful that you're going to go out of your way to have it for 4 seconds at a time. I kind of feel like they should have just made it Minor Berserk and kept it at 10 seconds.
That would have been my preferred way to go, and even as someone who uses Oaken Soul, like I don't even need Minor Berserk, but I don't know. It definitely adds uniqueness now. If I could see some DKs out there using this and getting that Major Berserk and being pretty nasty with it.
Yeah, I feel like it would need to mostly be a like burst oriented build, like maybe using Molted Whip and like an inhale kind of combo, and you're you're lining up these moments of burst within that 4-second window while Major Berserk is active. Like maybe you have Flames of Oblivion in there as well. Seems like that would probably be the way to go if you're trying to do that. Kind of more like maybe like a glass cannon, kind of like DK Ganker almost sort of play style kind of comes to mind. More significant than that for Dragon Knights is this Helping Hands passive. So currently, the Helping Hands passive, when you cast a non-stamina costing Earthen Heart ability, you restore 990 stamina. With this update, it's going to require that the magicka cost of that ability it be more than the amount of stamina that's being restored. And they're also increasing the amount of stamina being restored to 1120 instead of that 990. So basically, the whole purpose of this change is to eliminate a borderline exploit. I guess we can call it an unintended mechanic. If you're not aware, if you've ever seen a Dragon Knight like in a battleground or somewhere just spamming Ash Cloud over and over and over and over again, and you're wondering what the heck are they doing? Well, what they're doing is they have a magicka cost reduction glyph on one of their jewelry pieces, which causes Ash Cloud to literally cost 0 magicka, free to cast. And every single time they cast it, they're getting 990 stamina, 990 stamina, 990 stamina for free. So that's a big factor in why Dragon Knights are able to just kind of keep going and going and can never seem to lock them down, is because they literally have infinite free stamina forever because of this passive. So this is basically fixing that. That's not going to be possible anymore. I think that's a much needed kind of reining DKs back just a little bit.
Absolutely. Fantastic change. You know, this, you were kind of explaining to me. I didn't even realize this existed, but you were kind of explaining this to me, and it makes a lot of sense because when I'm on my DK, I run into a lot of other DKs, and they almost, in those high MMR, they always outlast me, and that Ash Cloud is just everywhere. And I never realized that was part of it.
That Ash Cloud is seriously overpowered. It really is. It's free to cast. It's a really strong heal. It's an extremely strong snare, and it does this thing as well. You know, for now. But even once this is fixed, it's still going to be on every Dragon Knight's bar. It still will be free to cast and do all those other things.
Yeah.
They're going to keep using it.
Great ability.
So I'll be happy to see that. I wonder if that's just that little bit of reining in that DKs need to make them kind of like a reasonably balanced class, because they've been on a rampage for a while. For vampires, the new mist form, the Blood Mist morph, is now going to heal for 45% of the damage done rather than 100%. Which I think is probably a good idea. That 100% was probably going to be a little OP, especially like if you have a lot of enemies around. That was going to be a lot of healing.
So I got a question on this one. Does the way that this works, is that damage only happening while you're traveling, or
no,
it stays with you after you travel?
It activates like once the teleport is finished, and it lasts for 20 seconds.
Oh wow!
And it's not a bad amount of damage. It's the same amount of damage as the Templar's Solar Barrage ability, which is a decent amount of damage. And it's healing you for the damage that it's dealing, or for 45% of that damage anyway. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be really good. I was thinking it would actually even be a good ability to slot for a PvE build, like a solo, doing Vatishran Arena or something like that. It's good AoE damage. It's giving you some offensive healing. It's giving you a little bit of mobility, which is actually pretty handy in like Vatishran, for example.
Yeah, that's going to be really good.
Yeah, I think both morphs of that are going to be on people's bars on all kinds of builds. I can tell you, like on the forums and everywhere else, people seem really excited about this new version of Blood Mist. Kind of on both sides. Like there's people like me who kind of despise the current version of Mist form. It's cheesy. It's a crutch. I hate seeing people use it. I refuse to use it myself. I'm really looking forward to not having to deal with that kind of on that end of it. But also like this new version of it, I'm probably going to use it. I'm looking forward. It doesn't seem cheesy at all. It just seems like useful and like a nice, fun ability to use.
It seems like it's going to really take the place of
Streak. No, just kidding.
No, I could really see it taking the kind of the bar spot of Race Against Time. That's kind of where I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually just talking to a good friend of mine, fellow StamPlar main, a couple of days ago about that exact thing. He was talking about where to slot it in. I was like, yeah, Race Against Time would probably make the most sense. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right.
It's the spot.
That's going to be worth it. Especially I'm going to use the Blood Mist morph, I think, is the one I got my eyeball on, but I think that other one's going to be the more popular one. It gives you Major Expedition, and Major Evasion, and it's a mobility tool. That's just going to save you a ton of bar space right there.
Oh man, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot in one.
Yeah. That's basically all the combat and balance changes. Small thing for Necro, a couple little things for Dragon Knight, and that Blood Mist change. That's about it. Couple of set changes. Mara's Balm is getting nerfed. They reduced the healing to 1,106 instead of 1,675. So they shaved like 500 off of that. I don't know. What do you think? You think people are going to stop using it? I feel like it's still really good. It still has that cleanse and burst heal and everything.
That's the thing for me is that it's kind of a self. I mean, even with this nerf, that this set still works. It's kind of like a constant vigor and a self cleanse. While it's always doing those two things, it's just too valuable. I mean, I think it's still going to get a lot of usage. Especially with how valuable a cleanse is in the BG environment right now.
Yeah, and the one coming up with this new Stake in the Stars set might be even more valuable.
Yep. I think it's still going to get a lot of uses. I love this. I mean, I'm continue to nerf it. Like I'm all about it. I think it's too overused right now. We talk all the time about if a set's way too overused, then we always like it to be nerfed. But I think it's a good nerf. I think it's a nerf that people are still going to use it, but I do think it'll lessen the popularity of it.
Yeah, I'm always happy to see any defensive set get nerfed. Like, I'm always on board for any defensive set getting nerfed. Bring it on. Because I typically don't use them. So, I'm only just I'm going up against the end of things, so yeah, nerf it. You're basically just buffing me in that case, essentially. And then this new Snake in the Stars set that's coming out, that's the one that deals Oblivion damage whenever you get healed, right? This is the one that everyone's kind of afraid of. They've adjusted this in a pretty clever way, I think. So it now lasts 4 seconds instead of 6 seconds. The damage can now occur once every 100 milliseconds instead of once every second. So that's as many as 10 times per second, basically. They reduced the damage to 1,170 instead of 2,848. It now has a 12-second cooldown per target, in addition to the 12-second cooldown on the set itself. So basically, it can't be applied back to back, right? If there's multiple people wearing it, if someone puts it on you, it's going to be 12 seconds before anybody else can put it on you again, is what that means. And then they put an extra line of magical recovery on the 5-piece bonus, just to kind of beef it up a little bit. I think this seems really cool. What do you think? You think they made it better or worse, Davies?
I think it's a great change. I think that really it makes it less oppressive in a 4v4 battleground because, we always look at things from the BG perspective. Much less oppressive in a BG battleground because it's, it's not going to completely delete your heals. But think about how nasty this thing's going to be in Cyrodiil or Imperial City. Like if you got a group
like groups.
Yeah, you got a group of 20 people that each one of them drops radiating regen on themselves. They're just going to instantly murder themselves. I mean, they could potentially be taking 10,000 damage a second to the whole group. I mean, it's crazy.
And that's true 10,000. That's how much they'll be taking.
Yeah. 10,000 damage a second just by trying to drop some heals.
It's, I think it's really clever how they did that because I think those ball groups, that kind of situation that you described right there, people are always asking for some way of dealing with those groups. And this is possibly a solution. And they did it in such a way that it doesn't seem like it's going to be terribly punishing to like a solo player. If you're just running around by yourself, like most of my builds, the only heals I have is Vigor and a Burst heal. And that's it,
Yep.
So like Vigor ticks every 2 seconds, so you're definitely not healing 10 times per second in that case, so you're taking a little bit of damage from it, but not, I don't think enough to really be a big problem. The only time it becomes a problem is if you have allies around you that are putting a bunch of kind of weak hots on you, then it's going to become a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Really clever way they're doing this. I really like how they got in the weeds on this and designed it really well.
Yeah, it really seems smart. I'm curious if minor lifesteal counts as a heal and if that's going to proc that, because that could be an interesting thing. If somebody throws that blood altar down and everyone in the area has minor lifesteal and you have caltrops on the ground, so you're getting that minor lifesteal from everyone.
Oh, geez.
That could be something to look out for. Maybe I don't know if that will count. I don't know if that'll count.
That needs to be tested. That we need someone to go in and test that. That's an interesting thought for sure.
That could be something. And then there's a couple of known issues that they haven't fixed yet, but they put it under this known issues section, which makes me think that they're planning to fix it before the patch goes live. Wrecking Blow has this targeting issue. This has actually been the case for a long time. I've heard people talk about this for a while. If you're not aware, Wrecking Blow and Dizzying Swing are not exactly the same. The animations look the same, but Wrecking Blow has like an additional targeting requirement where your target kind of has to stay within a certain area, or it'll just fail to connect with them. Whereas Dizzying Swing doesn't have that problem. Like as long as your target is within range, they can be basically running circles around you, and it'll still connect. So I think they're probably just planning to change Wrecking Blow to be more like Dizzying Swing, so it's just easier to hit your target with it. And then Vulcan Scoria. I noticed this just recently. Vulcan Scoria does not work. I tried to use this on my Necromancer and a BG. The meteor never comes. You'll see the little ring around their feet showing that the meteor is going to come, but
the targeting works, but the actual meteor, not so much.
It never arrives. It's pretty funny. So hopefully they're going to fix that. Vulcan's actually a great set on the right build, but not if it doesn't work.
This makes sense why you haven't seen it very much, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. That's basically everything that's going on in PTS. Like I said, pretty mild test server. For a week 3, there's usually a lot more adjustments than that.
I feel like it
seems like a good sign.
Yeah, minor adjustments, but like good adjustments, like each those are the quality adjustments for sure.
Yeah, they got the scalpel out for this one. They don't always do that. They always, they often like a sledgehammer, but for the scalpel this time. I did a little bit of PTS testing. I logged in. I really wanted to try out this mist form thing and see it for myself. And I really do strongly recommend getting your own hands on this thing and trying it for yourself before you pass judgment. Because I watched our buddy Uncle Sam. He was streaming this for us in Discord and showing it to us. And just watching him, I was thinking, yeah, it seems okay. Okay, it's kind of neat. But then once I logged in and just actually tried it for myself, you get a much better sense of it when you're actually controlling it yourself, Actually, I'm a big fan of this thing. I'm really, really excited to give it a try in a PvP build. It kind of is a poor man's streak. It's not streak. Like, I don't think any sorcerers are going to be giving up streak to run this thing instead. I do not see that happening. But if you're not a sorcerer and you want an ability that gives you something like that functionality, this is the closest thing you'll have to that. But there is a travel time. You're locked into an animation while you're traveling from one place to another. You can be attacked. You take full damage. It'll absorb 3 projectiles, but other than that, any melee damage or anything else, you take the damage just like normal. You can be CC'd. Sam and I were testing it out. He was fossilizing me while I was in the middle of mist form and everything else. So that CC immunity thing is gone.
Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. So it's just kind of a little dash of movement just to help you just kind of get a little bit of mobility. I think it'll actually be really nice for stamina builds. It might help you save on stamina. If you're going for that sort of mobility, sort of defensive style, you can kind of alternate between using magicka and stamina to stay ahead, kind of the way a stam sort does,
Yeah. I feel like it's such an interesting dynamic because it is worse. Like, it's a nerf to Mistform. Like, it just is. It's not near as good as Mistform, which me and you both are in favor of. But it's a nerf to the ability, but because it makes it a little more similar to Streak, I feel like people are really threatened by it. So it's like they nerfed an ability, but somehow because it's more relatable to Streak, like I feel like it's threatened a lot of people thinking that they're giving everybody a Streak. It's a weird dynamic for me in that.
I liken it to Streak. I think of it as like, how the vampire passive that makes you turn invisible when you sprint, like that's not a replacement for being a Nightblade and having cloak.
Yeah. That's a great comparison. What you're saying is that vampires is just the poor way to make your, to get the class abilities of other classes.
It seems to be, it's a skill line that they just kind of put like the poor man's version of other class abilities into vampirism. But I really like it, man. I'm really looking forward to this Mistform. I think it's going to be really cool. And like I said, the player response generally seems positive. I've seen a few comments of people kind of lamenting that they're not going to have their crutch anymore, but you got to learn to play the game at some point, guys. So this leads to a question that we were discussing in the Discord about a week ago. Shout out to, I won't say his full name, shout out to Bolsonaro. He basically was asking, is vampire worth it for a PvP build? He was saying, should I just make all my PvP characters vampires? And so we had a little discussion about this, and different people chimed in, had some different answers. People have different perspectives. A lot of PvP people will tell you that absolutely yes, stage 3 vampire is worth it just for the undeath passive. You take up to 30% less damage based on how much health you're missing, and that is a very, very powerful passive. So many people will tell you that yes, just for that, it is worth it. I have a slightly different opinion myself, because basically, if you're stage 3 vampire, then all of your non-vampire abilities cost 8% more resources, and that's a pretty big hit to your sustain. And sustain can translate to survivability also, and depending on the situation, it could be sustain that saves you, or it could be mitigation that saves you. You really, it's hard to predict the situation you're going to find yourself in. So to me, that just kind of seems like an even trade. It's hard to say that definitely yes or definitely no. It's really more like, what would you rather have in your build? Would you rather have more sustain, or would you rather have more damage mitigation?
Yeah, that's the way it should be, right? Very build dependent.
Yeah. Now, there's also this Strike from the Shadows passive that whenever you come out of invisibility or whenever you use Mist Form, it gives you 300 weapon and spell damage. So I think if you're able to take advantage of that and get that in your build and have the Undeath passive in your build, then mathematically it is worth it, right? Because you have that Undeath passive now. You have this extra 300 weapon and spell damage that now you have the option to trade 300 weapon and spell damage elsewhere in your build to get that sustain back if you want to. And you're still coming out with more than you're giving up in that case. So I think if you're getting both of those passives in your build, then yes, it is, like, mathematically, it is worth it. But if you're just getting one or the other, it's just kind of for you to decide. It could be worth it, could not be.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this, and I mean, I feel like we've come full circle with vampires, right? Like,
yeah,
we've been down on vampires for a long, long time, but kind of talking through this and figuring out, and I know that you'll talk more about it here in a bit, but you kind of have gotten firsthand experience with that undeath passive. I think I'm right there with you. I think a couple of my builds might start switching to vampires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely can be worth it, especially if you want to play as a brawler and that's kind of the primary, like you like to just get up in the mix of things, then probably that undeath passive is going to be worth it, no matter what, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, all that being said, I also want to say that if you're just wanting to use any of the active abilities, like this new Mist Form is looking good to you, or any of the other abilities you just think they're cool and you think they would work good in your build, then I think that kind of overrides all other considerations. In that case, absolutely, totally worth it. They're great abilities. There are many advantages to the skill line. So if there's some active ability you're wanting to use, then you can totally figure out how to make that work. And I think in that case, Mist Form will definitely be worth it. Absolutely. Anything else to add, Davius?
I don't think so. It's just like I said, I think it's funny. We went a long full circle on the vampires.
Yeah. Well, I was holding it. It's really just this Mist Form that made me come around. Because like I was saying, like that undeath passive alone, to me, it would not be worth it to me. I would not become a vampire just for that. But since this new Mist Form is allowing me to take advantage of this Strike from the Shadows passive, plus Mist Form itself is so enticing, there's a lot more incentive for me now.
Yeah. Yeah, it does make sense. And I'm with you. I'm going to switch to Mist Form's going to be, I think, my kind of popular mobility bar ability on a lot of my builds. And so I can definitely see a couple of my builds switching. And like you said, that, that undeath passive, I have some brawler builds that I think could potentially benefit from that. So.
Mm-hmm. My one thing, if all my dreams could come true, if I could make one wish, I would ask for them to take away that projectile absorption that they gave to it and give it 4 seconds of snare immunity instead. And that would just be perfection. But hey, I'll take it as is. Sam did want to mention about the that if you're playing with a controller, I don't know why you would do such a thing, but if you're playing with a controller, Mist Form will lock your camera angle at whatever direction you're facing until the animation is over. And you cannot change your camera over or your camera angle until the animation is over. Sam was getting pretty infuriated with that when he was testing it out. I could see how that'd be frustrating. I did submit feedback about that, Sam, on your behalf, saying that my weirdo friends that use a controller don't like that. So maybe they'll change
you looking out for the controller players.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They need all the help they can get. You imagine what kind of level Sam would be on if he actually like learned how to play a mouse and keyboard. Probably a good thing.
I literally say thank you every day for the fact that he's on a controller.
If you ever see Sam in a BG and you want to keep him from killing you, just run in circles. That's all you got to do. The BGs have been hopping here lately.
Yeah,
those queue times have been like really quick.
Quick queue times and a lot of old names getting back into the game.
The sweat factor has increased quite a bit. It's pretty funny. A couple of days ago, you were in Discord and you were telling me like, man, the BGs have been rough today. I just had like 5 bad matches in a row and I logged off, and that was my playtime.
That was it.
And then a little while later, I was talking to Uncle Sam, and he basically was like word for word said the exact same thing. He's like, man, the matches have been rough today, dude.
There's been like, some rough ones.
I was like, I empathize, but actually that kind of makes me feel good to hear that. Like the BGs they've been to, we've been resting on our laurels, you know. We're like thinking we're better than we really are. We haven't really been tested by those really amazing players that have kind of dropped out of the game the last 6 months or so. You know, a couple of patches, update 35, update 36 really turned a lot of people off. A lot of those really monster players that, you know, kept us on our toes. They just haven't been around. And so we're having to step it up here lately. And we're having to earn those victories a little more here lately, which I like. I really enjoy it.
I have absolutely been on my toes of late. Let's put it that way.
Tippy toes.
Absolutely.
A couple of weeks ago, we did this Duos tournament in the Battlegrounds guild that we're in, and that was pretty fun. Davius, you and I teamed up. We were representing the Stoons Goons.
Yep.
We were both on our mains. You were on Davius Starjumper, your Templar healer, and I was on Old Betsy, the classic duo.
Mm-hmm.
We were originally thinking 2 StamPlars is what we wanted to do, but some friends of ours who kind of played the night before us in the tournament, they were like, nah, you need a healer, dude. Do a healer. So didn't have to twist Davius's arm for that. He's like, heck yeah, I'll jump on.
Swap over to the main, or the old main.
He really brought it, dude. I felt like the heals were really good. You were giving me like all this extra damage with all the, you know, the sets and stuff that you have, ramping my damage up. It's just, you know, that duo is always good. It's always great. And Betsy has kind of some backup heals if you kind of get stammed out or something like that. I can, you know, I got you for a couple seconds, buddy. You know.
Yeah, they're just enough time for me to kick it back on. Yeah, the Davius build it's in good shape lately. It was fun. I haven't played on him in a while, but the last updates I made in that build still working.
Yeah. The Duos tournament was cool. It's like everyone signs up with a duo. You pick a partner, you sign up, and then when your night comes to play, they just kind of shuffle all the duos together. You play like 3 matches, each match you're with a different duo, and so it kind of changes your strategy. You don't know who you're going to be with, you know, or what they're bringing to the table or what. So it kind of makes you think about what kind of build you need to bring and that kind of stuff. And there's like a point system, and the duo with the most points at the end gets a gold reward. And there's first, second, and third place. Shout out to Slavka and Shadow, a couple of our Discord friends. They got second place in the tournament. I think they got robbed, but hey, we won't have to talk about it. 2 incredible players, the best duo in the tournament.
Fantastic. Yes, they were lights out. Very, very good duo.
So yeah, that was fun. I look forward to doing that again at some point in the future. Also, a couple of nights ago, this wasn't like an organized thing with a guild or anything. It was just playing with friends. It was me, Uncle Sam, King Nar, and Slavka. We were all grouped up together. We did, I think, 4 battlegrounds in a row in the group queue. By the way, all the queue times were like less than 10 minutes that night for a full 4 squad queuing up. I mean, there were some serious teams on. We were going up against some really sweaty teams, a bunch of guild mates, a bunch of people that we, you know are good players, but it was clear who was the strongest team on that night. There was no question. We definitely had to work for it, but man, it was a killer squad. We got to get that squad together again sometime. Uncle Sam, 6 million damage, 5.97, I think, million damage.
Just insane.
In one of the matches on his Frost Warden, just absolutely outrageous. So yeah, Sam was on his Frost Warden. King Nar was on his absolutely broken Warden Healer. I was on old Betsy, my StamPlar, and Slavka's on his main, his Nightblade, the only character he ever plays that he just like sees the Matrix on that character, dude. I love players like that. That's like you only ever see them play this one character and they can make it do anything. They know all the nuances and every little thing, and no one can play that build the way that person does. I really like that.
It is very cool.
But yeah, it was great, man. King would not let us die. Me and Sam both had like all this AoE pressure, because basically our whole builds are just AoE. Plus Sam has all that Frost CC just locking everybody down, and Slavka was essentially functioning as our executioner and some backup heals and stuff like that. Just a really super duper effective team. It made me realize how important having a Frost Warden on your team is right now, because there was a couple of times Sam got separated from the team, or I think he got killed one time when we were without him. And the other teams did have a Frost Warden like that, and we could definitely tell, like, oh, we do not have the power we had before. Like, not only are we losing all this damage, but we're not, like, breaking up their damage. You know, they're able to just come at us full force now. Like, we really need Sam back, so we can get our upper hand back. Like, if one of the teams has that and you don't, man, you just don't have a chance. That's the only way you can compete.
It's tough. It's tough to go against that if you don't have it on your team. Absolutely.
Sam says, let's be honest, we have no idea what Slavka's build was that night. He has 100 setups. Man, no joke. It's actually amazing. Like, we'll load into a BG, and, you know, like you always do, you pull up the scoreboard to look at the names and see who's in here, and Slavka will just start analyzing, be like, okay, I see, like, we have this guy and this person over here, and I'm going to put on this set to compensate for that and be able to counter this person. Just every single match, he's just like making all these little adjustments to just be the perfect thing that he can be for whatever that match is. Pretty amazing. And he does it like all kind of on the fly.
Yeah, it is impressive, because you'll go into a match with Slavka and he'll have, you know, one match he'll have, you know, 1.5 million heals, 500k damage. Next one he'll have 1.5 million damage, 500k heal. You know, it's just it goes back and forth. It's all over the place. It's impressive.
It's sometimes confusing though, because it'll be like, okay, you know, we'll play one match, that match is over, and then the next match I'll be like, Slavka, do your resto ult. He's like, oh, I don't have that now. I changed my build. I'm like, dang it.
Oh, that's good. Good stuff.
Anyway, so I've just been maining my main here lately. Old Betsy, the last couple of weeks, is pretty much the only character I've been playing with, and it's just been a delight. Betsy just keeps getting better. I don't know how. You can nerf her all you like. She somehow still continues to get better and better.
You just keep finding ways.
Yeah. I wish I'd found this build 6 months ago. Could you imagine? Oh, man. But that's okay. It's amazing right now. I have made some tweaks to Betsy's build. There are some fairly significant tweaks, and they have been impactful. The gear is basically the same as it's always been, or as it has been for a while. It's a Wretched Vitality as a back bar set with a bow. Deadly Strikes as a double bar set, Black Rose dual wield on the front bar, Gaze of Sithis Mythic Helm, and One Piece Magma Incarnate. It's 5 medium, 1 light, 1 heavy, 3 divines, 4 well fitted. The jewelry, I've changed all the jewelry to Bloodthirsty, no more Swift. So it's all 3 Bloodthirsty, and then I've switched to the Steed Mundus Stone to get some of that movement speed back. I was using the Apprentice Mundus, so that's giving up 300 weapon and spell damage off of my stat sheet, which after all my passives and everything, it's really more like 400 weapon and spell damage. But I have that 3 Bloodthirsty giving me as much as 1,000 weapon and spell damage against low health targets. Definitely getting more than I'm giving up in that case, at least offensively. So I think that's a fair trade, and I'm still fully speed capped with that Steed Mundus. Whenever I have all my speed buffs and I'm sprinting, I'm absolutely as fast as I've ever been, so I don't really feel any slower. And I have a lot more effective damage, right? I have the damage that I need when I need it, because it's those low health targets. Those are the ones that are hard to kill, right? Because most people are vampires, like we were talking about with that Undeath passive. Plus, that's just when they start panicking and playing super duper defensively, and it's just really hard to take away that last bit of their health bar. So that Bloodthirsty just makes a huge difference. Like, I've talked about Betsy lots of times how she's really not all about kill counts, like if she gets 10 kills in a match, that's pretty good for her. She's really all about the team effort and everything like that. She got a 30-0 match last week, and she's like getting that. I mean, that's the highest she's gotten so far, but she's getting in that ballpark of numbers lately, largely for just changing the bloodthirsty. That's the thing that is doing it for her.
That's a definite change in Betsy's numbers for sure.
And she still has all the other stuff going for her, that she always has, the team support and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing, is that she hasn't given up anything for this.
Yeah, not really. It's all just gain. It's sugar skulls for the food, tri-stat potions. She's an orc. And then the biggest change I've made for her is I did go ahead and make her a vampire just like a week ago. It's in anticipation for this update coming up. I want to use this new mist form. I just decided I'm just going to go ahead and do it now and start kind of getting used to having those passives and the sustain difference and all that kind of stuff. Man, it's pretty awesome. This is the first vampire I've had since the rework. They did the big rework back in the Skyrim expansion. I cured all my vampires back then. This is the first one I've made since then, and it's just because I want to use that blood mist ability. But I figure since I'm going to be a vampire, I may as well just take advantage of all it has to offer. I went ahead and, I'm stage 3. I'm getting that undeath passive for that 30% mitigation when I'm low on health. Man, it's unreal how much of a difference that passive makes and just how tanky you feel. It's really, really nice. And that does come with that 8% cost increase, but since I am using Mist Form, I'm getting that Strike from the Shadows passive that's giving me that weapon and spell damage that I can, if I want to, trade for sustain and make up for that cost increase, and I'm gaining more than I'm giving up in that case. I just added one sustain glyph to one piece of jewelry, and that seems to be all I need sustain-wise, and it feels about like it always has.
That's impressive. It's a lot of gain.
Yeah, so the thing is about that cost increase is it's a pretty big cost increase, but that's only a factor when you're casting abilities. When you're not casting anything, then you still have the same recovery still works the same as always, so it's like you're using it faster, but you're getting it back at the same rate. So I'm kind of learning to kind of play in these spurts, I kind of go in for the burst, kind of go hard for a little bit and get maybe down to like a quarter of my stamina bar and then kind of retreat, do some heavies, recover, and then go for it again. So I'm finding it so far, even without the new mist form, I'm finding it very much worth it. Just that passive is very noticeable. It makes Betsy way more brawly than she's been in the past. Like she really can just kind of get up in the middle of everything, take a beating, and she has the cleanse, she has all the really strong heals.
That's the scary part on my thought, is that Betsy's already near impossible to kill, and now you're adding in tankiness to her. Like, oh man, like you really will never die with this character again.
Yeah, she has a lot more kind of like defensive tools than she's had in the past, which I never really thought that she'd end up here. It's kind of been by accident because I haven't abandoned the initial idea of her, which is to be this really kind of agile, roly-poly, very, very speedy, kind of athletic sort of Templar. That's never stopped being the case, It's just kind of found these ways to get these other things going on in here. The offense, it's still all about stacking these AoE pulses, right? So I have the Deadly Cloak ability, I have Solar Barrage, Crescent Sweep Ultimate. Soon, this new Mist Form is going to be added to that. So 4 AoE pulses stacked on my character along with jabs on top of all that. And of course, I'll have Bloodthirsty amping up all that damage. It's a ton of AoE pressure. It's actually really good for PvE or Imperial City. It's just like you just plow through mobs like they're nothing, and it's fully a PvP build. So if you run into a player, you're equipped to handle it. It's great for sewer runs. And I like it. Like it kind of seems thematically fitting, like that type of offensive style. I kind of think of it like she's a Templar. She's like, she has this divine aura. Like she's so beautiful that you can't even be near her without getting hurt. You know what I mean?
You can't stare at the sun. You can't stare at the sun.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this angelic sort of being that you can hardly even stand close to. And like I've explained in the past, it's really effective damage because it's stuff that I'm applying to myself. I'm not applying it to other people, so they can't cleanse it off. And since it's all AoE, they can't dodge it either. So there's really not a lot that very many people can do about it. None of it's not long range, it's not projectile, so like shimmering shield and stuff isn't mitigating it. It's kind of most people just kind of have to take it and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, she's just kind of leveled up in all these ways. She has all this execute damage she didn't have before. She has that undeath passive. She's about to have way better mobility and damage and offensive healing with that new mist form. And that's on top of all these layers of survivability that she already has with that amazing healing kit, the Gaze of Sithis helm, the Black Rose Prison dual wield. She has major evasion from Blade Cloak, just like all these things adding up. She feels really tanky, but she's not a tank, right? She's in medium armor. It's well fitted. She has the bow and dual wield, She doesn't play anything like a tank.
Still speedy.
Still super speedy. It used to be speed was how she stayed alive, but now it's just one of the tools she has, and she can use it as she sees fit. She doesn't have to kite around telephone poles or what the heck ever anymore. She can do that if she needs to, but if she needs to brawl, she can do that too. I really like that she can be both. She's learned how to stand her ground. It's taken a while, but she kind of has learned to be the classic Templar, as well as be her true self as well.
Nice.
Fashion is on point. Since she's a vampire now, I made her a little more gothy, a little more vampy. She's Vamp Betsy now.
Vamp Betsy.
So I kind of made her a little more gothy looking. I kind of like the way she looks. I put that 30-0 battleground on YouTube if anyone wants to see the build in action. They're not every battleground is 30-0, but it's a very good demonstration of what the build can do and all the tools that it has and all that stuff. Still the same team-focused mindset, still all the same, all that kind of stuff. And I like it because it feels like an honest build. Like the victories feel good. I don't feel like I'm cheesing on anything. It's a StamPlar. Who's going to accuse a StamPlar of cheesing anything?
Not right. Not right now, especially.
Yeah. That just makes it all the more, appealing to me. Yeah. The only thing it's missing is there is no snare and immobilization immunity anywhere in the build. I think with that Wall of Frost change coming up, that really has never been an issue until Wall of Frost has become so ubiquitous recently, and now it's becoming an issue. I think with that nerf to Wall of Frost, I think I can just kind of rely on Cleanse being my snare removal again, and that'll be good enough, like it used to be. I'm hoping. And one other little cherry on top, I still need to get the perfected maces. I have the non-perfected Black Rose swords. If I could get the perfected maces, then we're golden. But anyway, that's old Betsy. That's all the stuff that's happened to her build. I know there's a mouthful, but I've just been thinking about it all week long. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how amazing Betsy is. She's been nerfed so much and she still just rises from the ashes. Anyway, speaking of StamPlar, Davius Starjumper, what's going on with the need for mead?
The need for mead, yeah. I've talked about this build here pretty recently, and I'm the only reason I'm bringing it up again is a very minor change, but following old Betsy's recommendations here, and as you just explained, like that's a good direction to go here. But same set, still Oakensoul build, still running 5-piece Dagon, 5-piece Deadly, and then I do the 1-piece Magma for sustain. But really, the biggest change that has happened to the build is that I dropped the Living Dark, the Templar bubble, for Solar Barrage. Kind of took your advice to swap the defensive side, make it a little bit more offensive. Still have Honor the Dead, still have Vigor, still have Speed, and so there's still a lot of defensive tools that the kit has. But just swapping to that Solar Barrage has made a huge difference on the damage numbers. Keeping the pressure on people, and kind of finishing people off. So a very simple change to the build, but it has made a great change for the build. And honestly, the potential next change to this build is kind of, once again, kind of following your model. I think the next change that I might do to this build is I really like this idea of switching to the Bloodthirsty jewelry. And then using the Steed Mundus to still keep the speed, but have the Bloodthirsty jewelry. I think it ends up with more damage, easier to finish people off, and still find that speed through a different way.
Yeah, in the if you're not a vampire, the health recovery you get from that Munda Stone is really nice too. And if you're using sugar skulls and well, no, you're not using Sithis Helm, but if you were using Sithis Helm, that's actually a pretty nice amount of health recovery right there.
Yeah, I just think it's a great change, and I like the idea of using. I don't think the Steed Mundus is used a whole lot, so I like the idea of the unique Mundus.
I wish they buffed that speed a little bit on that.
Just a hair, just a hair, just a couple points,
like 2 or 3%.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. But yeah, so that build's still really good, and with that change, I think it's only gotten a little bit better. And then potentially doing that Bloodthirsty to kind of get a little bit more finishing power on it. But it's still.
I think that's going to be. I think that's going to be a go-to for me from now on. I'm probably just going to be slapping Bloodthirsty on everything. Like I've seen the light now, that now that I've put it on Betsy, like, oh, we got to go Bloodthirsty on everything. We got to be doing that. Cool, man. Is that what else for me?
That's pretty much it. That's really kind of the thing I want to talk about. The bar setup's still the same, still jabs, the javelin, and now the solar barrage is kind of to stay on the offensive. The defensive side of it is still the speed, vigor, honor the dead. Still using Crescent Sweep for the ult. So not many changes, but it's a really
solid build.
Yep, works really well, easy to use, and flows really well. Highly recommend the build.
Yeah, I've seen it in action. The damage is very good.
The best is when when I run this build when you're on old Betsy and you start throwing those double jabs into players.
You get the double jabs going, man. Yeah,
and now we found
out the nerf jabs. No one can stand up to the double jabs.
And then we're both using Crescent Sweep, so it's the double jabs, the double sweeps. It's
so fun.
It's a sight.
Crescent's so cheap, you're just tossing that thing left and right. When you're having two StamPlars, just Crescent and jabbing all over the place, it's fun.
Yeah,
and we're both speedy, so we're just kind of chasing people down and stuff.
Just running people down.
Cool. What else you got, man?
So there's another build I want to talk about, and this is the Never Ending Nord. This is my MagCro support build. And I've talked about this one a lot, and talked about the idea of the build. It's an Oakensoul build, as usual. That's my go-to right now.
Oh yeah.
And then it's actually a 5-piece Mara's Bomb and 5-piece Hiss Sap, and then once again 1-piece Magma for sustain, but. This build's actually been done for a while. I just haven't had a chance to kind of do much testing with it, but I've been excited for the idea of it. And we actually kind of got finally got the chance to kind of test the waters with it last night. And I did some slight tinkering with the bar setup, but overall, I would say it worked really well. This build seems. You really do when you play it. You do seem invincible. It can take a punch for sure. With the Hiss Sap and the Mars Bomb both kind of kicking in, really just kind of takes a beating. But the heals are really good. The bar setup is on the heals. I do the Renewing Undeath, the Mender, and then Radiating Regen, and so quite a few heals. And then really the other part of it is just kind of CC. I use the Totem. And then I also have Race Against Time on there for speed.
That's a solid bar setup.
Yeah, I mean, in the way that it operates with the heals, I'm throwing, that totem is almost the spammable to just make sure you're throwing CC into the team over and over. And then the ultimate, I actually use the Lights Champion, which is the Resto Staff ultimate. And so it works really well. The heals are very, it keeps the heals up, very hard to take down. Also throws CC out there. Probably the only thing I would say is like my other support build, the damage is really, it's not really about doing damage. It can do light and heavy attacks, but outside of that, it doesn't have any damage abilities on the bar, but it is very tanky, and it really keeps the heals up. And kind of in our testing last night, I felt really good about it because we were in multiple matches, I felt like, where we were outnumbered 4-2, 3-2 for the majority of the matches, and it was taking a punch. So I felt really good about it.
Being so tanky like that, it kind of lets you not have to worry about keeping yourself alive so much, and you can just kind of focus on doing your job. And that Renewing Undeath, is that ground like circle AoE burst heal ability?
Yes, it is.
That thing's pretty cool. It's actually like not terribly expensive, and it's a pretty strong burst heal in a pretty big area, so you can kind of be healing your whole team with that thing. You can kind of sort of use it like the the matriarch, the sorcerer's matriarch ability, how it's just kind of healing this whole area with this big burst heal. It's not quite like that, but kind of.
Yeah, and that's really what it's about too. It's just I really like that it's a group heal and I can get multiple people with it. It's a strong heal, and like you said, it's pretty low cost. It works out really well. Now, obviously, as we've been talking, this is absolutely has to be my first character that switches to a vampire. This character was originally made because it was going to be a vampire. So switching to the vampire, getting that defensive passive, that undeath passive is only going to just fit perfectly with this build. Make it tankier, make it harder to kill.
Thematically fitting too.
Yep, thematically fits perfectly. I'll swap out Race Against Time for the new Mist form. I think it's gonna work out really, really well.
And that'll give you major evasion. You don't have that yet, right?
Nope, don't have that one. So just more tankiness, and I think it's gonna just only get better as it goes on.
Really cool. Yeah, dude, I like running around with Neverending Nord. I feel pretty invincible.
We had some fun matches last night, considering, when you're outnumbered, our team was, who knows where they were, but we kept running into kind of 4 groups and 3 groups, and even when we'd go try to look for a better fight, we'd end up kind of running into it. Usually those could be pretty terrible, but it wasn't bad. I feel like it wasn't too bad.
Wasn't a bad duo. It's because you have a really strong healer there, and you're doing the CC and the heals and everything, and then Betsy's a lot more brawly than she's been in the past as well. So it kind of made you kind of had a little something to heal there. You know what I mean? Like I didn't just fall over right away. I can kind of run in and charge in and take a little bit of a beating, and you can keep me alive. And it worked out really, really nicely.
Yep, had good results.
Only other thing I've really done lately that maybe is worth mentioning is actually just today. I spent some time in the Vatishran arena. I was farming this Void Pitch Black dye.
Oh, okay.
So I thought I would just mention that. Have you farmed this thing before?
I have farmed Vatishran arena quite a bit, but I actually don't have the dye, and it's mainly because I'm going pure memory here, but I believe you have to run so many steps in the lava.
Yes, that's one of the things. So it's a bunch of. It's actually really easy. It's kind of a series of achievements you have to do. You can do them all in normal. And some of them are just kind of silly things, like you have to use a grappling hook 500 times.
Yep.
And you have to run in the lava for, I think it's 10,000 meters. There's you heavy attack that orb thing that makes you immune to lava, I think for like 20 seconds. So I made a route where you can just kind of run back and forth in the lava. Those orbs keep respawning. You just do it for like 20 minutes, and then you get the 10,000 meters. There's a few other things. You have to beat a couple of specific bosses and collect these little like orb things. And it takes a little bit of time, but it's all easy stuff. And it's a really, really, it's like blacker than black, this dye.
It is a very cool dye. Honestly, the only thing that I haven't done is the lava run. I haven't spent the time to actually make the run around in the lava.
Oh, that one's easy. That's like maybe the easiest one.
It's like the last one I have. I have all the other ones. Just do it.
That's like,
do it now.
Yeah. I mean, that's seriously one of the best dyes. GrizzlyCon saying in the chat, great dye. It's seriously one of the best dyes to have. If you're that close, just go get it.
Then you know who needs that dye is the Neverending Nord.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be perfect for him.
I totally, the thing that gave me the motivation was because Betsy's a vampire now, and I had to make her more goth since she's a vampire now. And I'm like, this black isn't black enough. We got to go blacker. So I spent, I don't know, it probably took 3 or 4 hours to get everything, which I already had some of them from previous Vatishran runs. Anything else been going on in game?
Not that I can think of. Excited for the patch. Anytime we get to this point in the game, and you always talk, we get real excited going through these patch notes, excited for the changes. And so I think we're both kind of anxiously awaiting. Yeah, we're anxiously waiting for this stuff to go live. So I'm really looking forward to some of these changes.
Ready for the Mist form, ready for the Wall of Frost nerf, ready for Dragon Knight's kind of getting nerfed with that passive.
I mean, we got a Mars Bomb and a Wall of Frost nerf coming. Yeah. It's going to be great.
This is shaping up. I think this is going to be a pretty awesome patch, actually. Like,
I do.
Doesn't seem like a big one, but I feel like the things that are happening are just nice.
It's gonna feel pretty good, I think.
Target markers.
Yeah.
All right. It's time to read some emails, is what I would say if we had any. If you'd like to send us an email, you can. If you'd like to send us an email, you can email us at scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. Ask us any questions, make a suggestion for the show, tell us a joke, say hello, request a shout out to a friend, whatever you like. Scrollandpodcast@gmail.com. We have a guild. The guild's name is Stoons Goons, best named guild on the server. Prove us wrong. And it's also the official guild of the Scrolland Podcast. If you'd like to be a member of Stoons Goons, email us at scrollandpodcast@gmail.com.
That's what I was going to say. Email us if you disagree, huh?
Perhaps we'll read your email. And we'll happily send you an invite. If your guild roster is full, that's okay. We can get you on the Discord. That's really where the action is happening anyway, where most of our discussions and things are happening. And really anyone who's on the Discord is a fully fledged goon as far as we're concerned. So scrollandpodcast@gmail.com will get you invited. We are asking our listeners and our friends to please do us a favor and go to the Apple Podcast app, specifically the Apple Podcast app. Find our show, Scrollin', and write us a review and give us a star rating. Specifically, the review has the biggest impact, but the star rating helps as well. What that does is that helps our show appear higher up in the search results whenever people search for relevant keywords like ESO or Elder Scrolls or things like that. So we just want to be easier to find for people who are looking for a good ESO podcast. So if you haven't done that yet, please help us out with that. We would greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to go a step further than that and support the show, you can go to patreon.com/scrollandpodcast. I've been practicing my plug here, so you got to let me know how I'm doing.
Yeah, this is great. It's going well.
Patreon.com/scrollandpodcast, where you can receive Stoons Boon for $3 a month. What that'll get you is full Discord benefits, including access to listen to us record the podcast live like we're doing right now. You'll get a guaranteed individual shout out on every single episode. You'll get access to some bonus content, including what we're calling the Booncast. Shout out to GrizzlyCon for the idea for the name, Booncast. So what that's going to be is shorter solo podcast recordings on the off weeks. So Scrolling comes out every 2 weeks. So on the off weeks, I'll be doing just like 15, 20-minute long little miniature episodes. So you'll have a little something to tide you over for the next episode. And these will be a lot different. These are going to be really short. There's not going to be like any kind of outline or anything that I'm following. It's just going to be hit a record button and whatever comes out is what comes out. I've already put a couple of them up and I think they've turned out pretty well. So if you've ever found yourself wishing that the Scrolling Podcast was a weekly show, this is your opportunity. For $3 a month, you can make it happen. Don't let your dreams be memes, all right?
Oh, there it is.
There's also some supplemental videos to like demonstrate some of the builds we're talking about and other stuff. We have written guides for a lot of the builds that we've talked about on the show. We'll try to keep those up to date as well, and we'll see about adding some other things on there as well as time goes on. And of course, the greatest gift of all is that good feeling in your heart, knowing that you're helping us with things like software subscriptions, hardware maintenance, media host fees, and possibly even helping us improve the quality of the show in the future. So patreon.com/scrollandpodcast is the place to go. If you can't do Patreon right now, then just come hang out on the Discord. It doesn't cost anything to do that. We have one of the best communities on the internet. Everybody's welcome. We'd love to have you. So that is scrollandpodcast@gmail.com.
Ooh, there we go. I'll give you an extra boom for that one. How about that?
It's a family, buddy. Gummy Bear says. Yeah, we're like family here, just like a TGI Fridays.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. I'm taking the steak fries.
Being a Stoons Goon is a lot like working at a TGI Fridays, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I've really gotten that. That's really the vibe I feel like that we've really aimed for. We had a vision early on, TGI Fridays, and we've only gotten closer.
Yeah. We have not yet perfected the potato skins, but we're getting close.
We're not quite to the potato skins, but we can only hope.
Yeah. So that's my plug. As time goes on, I think it'll get condensed and, hopefully it'll get shorter while still conveying all the info, but that's what we have so far. Gosh, hold on. I got to find this thing. Hold on. Bear with me, people.
You're looking for something.
Took a screenshot of the chat earlier. Shout out to the chat. Grizzly Con, King Nar, Gummy Bear, Uncle Sam, and Crimson. Did I miss anybody?
Mother,
guys, thank you
Mother
so
was in here earlier.
Mother of Dragons was in here earlier. No, she left before I took the screenshot. She didn't stick around very long, but because I took that screenshot pretty early on.
You got it quick.
But thank you guys very much for being here and showing us your support. I really appreciate it. Adds a lot to the show. Shout out to Pork Body. He recently finally rebuilt a brand new PC with a 4080 graphics card. He's going to be playing ESO 50 years in the future with this thing. So welcome back to the community, dude. Glad to have you back. Shout out to Grizzly Con for bringing a new goon into this world. Congratulations,
yeah,
dude.
How about that? Extra shout out, Grizzly Con.
Extra shout out to Grizzly Con, and hey, pass another shout out along to the little one. All right,
there we go.
Just to get him started out on the right foot.
Grizz gets it. He's recruiting. You know, he's making more goons. He's getting the job done.
Grizzly says, I'm neck deep in shout outs. We're going for the eyebrows, Grizz.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to Danjavan. I don't even know what to say. I'm not going to say a specific number, but Danjavan made an incredibly generous donation to the Guild Bank. My head is still spinning from, and I don't even know what to do now. I'm still trying to process this new situation I'm in. Just unbelievable. Danjavan has made a number of really amazing contributions to the show and to the guild. He's been listening to the show almost from day one. Can't thank you enough, Danjavan. Thank you so much, man. Shout out to Uncle Sam, King Nar, and Slavka, Dream Squad. We've just been playing a lot together here lately. Just awesome dudes, awesome people to hang out with, even when we're not playing. And then when we do team up, we're just absolutely unstoppable. So it's just a fun squad. Shout out to the Elder Goons, the OGs, our heroes. Guys, thank you so much for being around for so long and just showing your support for the show and just being our friends. I hope we're friends forever. Thank you guys so much. And shout out to our Stoons Boon recipients. We have 5 Patreon supporters, guys. Can you believe it? A whole 5. That's I'm like over the moon for that.
I'm growing. Yeah, it's
so shout out to my good friend Thomas, Grizzly Con, Gummy Bear, Toadster, and Pork Body. Guys, can't thank you enough.
Yeah,
you're already helping so much. Davius, anything else?
Some have claimed that, every now and then I make a smart decision. So I'm going to go ahead and give the wife another shout out. Another shout out to the wife for being awesome and letting a Valentine's Day podcast happen. So
shout out to the Law Dog.
The Law Dog.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.